Welcome back to A Nerdy Journey. I am your host, A.K. Moore, and today we are joined by one of my good friends, writer and comedian, Gaspar Cello.
Hello, everyone. I don't know how to respond to that intro yet, but I'm happy to be here. AK, thank you for having me. This is very exciting.
I love that you're wearing green, I'm wearing blue. Two favorite colors there. I actually kind of wish that I chose to wear red-eyed tree frogs.
Green. It's not just green, AK.
Oh my god. Red-eyed tree frogs were my favorite frog when I was younger. I literally had a photo of it above my bed.
Is that right? I didn't know you were also into... Did we talk about, like, amphibians and reptiles?
We didn't, no.
Oh, I was also a big, like, reptile guy. I had a lot of, like, geckos and lizards.
I had a leopard gecko growing up.
Nice. I had two, and then a bearded dragon. And then me and my friends tried to start, like, a lizard breeding business, but it went underground.
I wanted a bearded dragon so badly, but my mom's like, they take bigger cages, I'm not going to let you have it. But then again, I also had a ferret, and I had a bunny rabbit, and I had hermit crabs, fish. Like, not all at the same time. I had my leopard gecko and my ferret at the same time, but most of the others were like, you know, had turtles for a little while, and then my mom said, you're not keeping them anymore, so I had to give them away, and all that other fun stuff that always happens. But no, I was a huge reptile guy, an amphibian guy growing up too. I would always go out and catch frogs and lizards and snakes and everything because I grew up in Florida. Those are everywhere.
Right, yeah.
You know, I was a little mini crocodile hunter. That's what I wanted to do for a while.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that actually what you wanted to do?
Oh, yeah. Steve Irwin was my hero. I idolized him. I wanted to be just like him. I wanted to build my own zoo. That's legitimately, like, that was my passion up until about, like, 6th grade or so, I would say, and that's when I transitioned to film.
Wow. I had no idea.
Yeah, what about you, though?
What was we want my entire arc from childhood?
I guess, like, when did you realize you wanted to go into filmmaking?
It was, so in college, I was studying economics, and I was doing, like, a lot of the internships and the fields that I thought I was going to go into. Was like the beginning was I was going to go into finance, and then I was like, oh, this is awful. I did some internships and stuff there. Like, the culture wasn't really what I was about. I wasn't really interested in, I mean, the subjects itself, when I was learning about them, it was interesting. But then when it came to actually being in the workplace, it felt like kind of a dry environment. And I was like, this.
Hold on. Did you think that finance was going to be less dry? I'm
not sure. I'm not sure what I thought. I think it was like I had never been exposed to a corporate environment, and I was so used to being myself all the time and not necessarily restricting myself socially. Like, in high school, I was kind of an idiot and would just, like, joke around all the time. And the same went for college. And then, like, when I learned that when you enter into, like, a corporate atmosphere, depending on what type of company you work at, but, like, most of the time you have to be professional. And I think, like, it was that that started marking that shift. I was like, wow, I'll be very, very depressed and very sad if I have to live like this for the rest of my life. So then I thought I was going to do economic policy. I thought that was going to be the fix. I was like, you know, it'll be less like finance and boring and, like, you know, kill your, I don't even know what, I thought it was heartless as well. And I was like, all right, at least with, like, economic development and policy, like, you'll be trying to do good things for people. But even then I was like, this job sucks. Like, I was interested in learning all about these things, but then when it actually came to picturing my life doing that for the rest of my life, I was like, this is terrible. And all the while I'd, like, I wrote a lot in high school, not scripts or anything like that, but I just, like, wrote a lot of a bunch of different stuff, like short stories and poems and whatever. And there was a literary club too that I helped run. And I was always interested in literature, and especially comedy, and trying to be funny was, like, something that I was trying to do 100% of the time of my life. Like,
so always. You were the class clown.
I was voted class clown the senior year.
Only senior year?
That was the only year that we had superlatives.
Oh, got it.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I would have won it 4 years in a row. Who fucking knows? But not to be cocky. And, you know, this sounds like a really stupid thing to brag. You know, I take it all back. But anyways, yes, it is true. It is true. You can go to the yearbook and see it.
Yeah. You're right.
Anyways, I don't
You're
know.
not one of those guys that peaked in high school. You don't have to brag.
Oh, okay. Thank you
You're
very much.
you're
Yeah, you know what?
doing
I'll brag about
great.
it anyways. Yeah, I was fucking class clown. And sometimes when I'm like, when you know those, undoubtedly, I thought it would never hit me because I used to have so much overconfidence, and I was like, I'm never gonna doubt myself. And now I doubt myself all the time. And I'm like,
That's
you're
because you're a
a
writer.
yeah, I guess, yeah. And I'm just like, I'm not funny. I'm a piece of shit, whatever, whatever. And then I think back, I'm like, you were voted class clown. Like, don't fucking forget that you were voted class clown. I'm like, it has nothing to do with anything. Um, but anyways, oh right, right. So then I like had this like moment. I was sitting at the fucking desk in the internship, and I had already been doing like improv comedy and that sort of thing, and I'd been doing stand up. And I pretty much realized that like the only thing that I ever really cared about significantly, uh, enough to make it my entire life was comedy and trying to make people laugh. And I don't really think I do it for the good of like you making people laugh and making the world a better place. I actually think anyone who says that is full of shit. I think most of the time it's just like because you like the attention and like you're yeah, it's pretty much because you like attention. So anyways, I realized I like attention, and I was doing stand up and all that thing, and I was like, all right, what's the best way to turn this into a career path? And so I looked at a bunch of different ways, and ultimately I kind of decided like the best way forward in terms of the skill sets that I had already, which were like writing. I felt I was okay at that, and just in terms of that, like I had a relative capacity to like stay concentrate on something for a long period of time. I was like, I think screenwriting and comedy writing specifically is probably the best bet for me. Stand up and all the live stuff is really cool too. And honestly, I wish I was better at that. That's probably one of the main reasons why I didn't continue to pursue that as wholeheartedly. But one of the main things is like, you know, when you go up for stand up, you're like there for an hour, especially when you're first starting out for the open mics. Like you're there for an hour, you get 5 minutes on stage. And for like that hour that you were there, like the amount that you actually get to practice was 5 minutes versus like when you're writing something, you're doing it the entire time. And I think like I don't know, type A or whatever type of brain was like, that's the most like effective way to fucking make it happen. So then that's why I chose that. And then since then, I didn't really look back. So that was probably, I don't know, it was probably like 19, 20, and I'm 26 now. So 7 years of attempting. And it's been
So
going pretty good.
so you went to college specifically for finance and stuff. Where did you go? And did you make that switch to wanting to go into comedy and writing while you were there, or is that like after you graduated?
Yes, while I was there. In fact, yeah, while it was probably like my sophomore year. And I was like, I went to the new school it's called, or Parsons School of Design, some people know it as, which is a weird school to go for econ in the first place. Like it's mainly an art school, and most people there are studying design. But anyways, yeah, it was like probably sophomore junior year, and in fact, I wanted to like finish early and just move to LA and like just wrap everything up. There was like I also did this like +1 master's program, and I wanted to just not do that and just go to LA right away, finish early, and just leave. And my parents were like, please just finish like the last year. And I was like, okay, fine. But yeah, that's essentially what had happened. And while I was still in college, I started writing scripts all the time and being like pretty hyper focused. At the beginning, I was like, I need to learn more about the form. So probably like the first 2 years, I was reading a lot of scripts, and then just kind of understanding in general the tone that I liked. And then I don't know, there's so many things at the beginning of the writing process, especially with screenwriting, that you kind of have to work out for yourself just by doing it. You know, the things that you care about. Yeah. Finding your voice is totally important. And especially me being like cocky, and at the beginning I thought like all the shit that I was writing was hilarious. And then you realize like you're really unoriginal actually. You're not funny at all. Like you need to find out ways to
You know what though? That's like, I feel like that is the writing maturity process though, because we all started out as cocky assholes. I 100% did too. I'm sure you could get that from my personality, that when I went to college, like, you know, I was the only kid in my high school who was making movies and stuff, and I was making my friends make them with me. And I do think the proper phrasing is making my friends make them with me, because I don't think if given the opportunity, they were just doing it because I was their friend more so than they actually wanted to.
Right.
but like I came into college like, oh, I know how to do this. This is like, because I did go to film school. I had a minor in entrepreneurship,
Uh-huh.
but I very much feel like I came in very cocky and was very quickly humbled, and learned, because I started writing early as well. Like that was some of the first stuff I started to do. Like fifth grade, I wanted to write a book called Alex and the Animals, because I wanted to make it
Nice.
my version of what's it called, Dr. Doolittle, where I
Nice.
was the one talking to animals. Obviously, my Steve
Did you ever
Irwin.
finish it? Did the book ever
I
get
got,
finished?
I think, one chapter in, and then I was like, you know what? I don't know how to write a book. I'm in fifth grade,
Right.
and I was trying to write a chapter book, and the most advanced book I had read at that point was probably Harry Potter. So
Got
it was not going to end that
So you
well.
fucking gave up. You gave up
I
is what it
gave up
was.
there, and then I decided, you know what? Time to write movies.
Nice.
But either way, no. Like, so I came in and I, was cocky just like everybody else about how to write, and then I feel like the minute you start to doubt how good your writing is the minute that you become a better writer. I truly believe that, because I have
Probably.
seen a huge improvement in my writing ever since I started to doubt it.
Yeah.
You have to ride this line though out here. You have to be confident enough in your voice and your writing as a writer, but also still know that there is so much room for improvement in everything that I write. That go in with the confidence that you're good, but scale back the cockiness that it can't be improved or that it is the best thing in the world.
Totally. I completely agree. Though I will say the one caveat is I think when you are actually in the writing process for the first draft, or when you're revising things and trying new things out, I think you need to turn that dial of self doubt all the way down to like liberate your brain and just fucking go like, like the most you could get yourself out of it, I think is really important. But totally, like
Yeah.
I completely agree when you're actually like looking at it in the analytical brain and everything else. Like, yes, you have to have doubt and question if the things that you wrote were good and see how you can make them better and to
Yeah.
take other people's notes. But I find that like if I'm doubting myself when I'm sitting down like in the fucking chair, then it's mayhem.
Yeah.
And like you just I don't get anything done.
Oh, completely. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're thinking like that too long, if your brain is too analytical, it's not in the creative mindset. You're not thinking from the character's perspectives, and you're just gonna
Right.
write crap.
Right.
Um, but I guess to get back to, I guess, your journey to LA. You
Yeah.
moved to LA shortly after college. How long have you been out here for?
I've been here since I graduated in 2019, so 4 years.
Okay, nice.
Yeah,
So basically 6 months ish before COVID.
a little bit longer, probably almost a year, because I moved here like May 2019, and I guess when did COVID officially hit? Like
Like
March.
March 2020.
So yeah, almost a year.
Okay.
I'd gotten really lucky when I moved out here. So before I moved out, I like asked everybody because I didn't fucking know anybody in LA, and I like asked everybody that I knew if they knew anybody in LA and if they knew anyone. I had gone in like I hadn't like summoned the courage yet to tell everybody that I was just gonna go in, except for my friends and my family and stuff. That I was like going to like trying to succeed as a comedy writer. The people that I was reaching out to like professionally, I was like, oh, I want to do like business analytics, because I still had the degree in econ. So I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I want to do like business analytics, if that's even consumer analytics, I think is what I was saying, for like some sort of streaming platform. So I like asked a bunch of people, and like and most people are like, I don't know anybody, I don't know anybody, I don't know anybody. But this one dude, fucking total G, he was one of my econ professors, and he was like, yeah, I know somebody. And then he hooked me up with his friend who was working at Warner Bros at the time, and he was like, just have a phone call with him and he'll tell you, like, just talk to him and just tell him what you're trying to do. So that guy was really nice and was nice enough to take a call from some random kid in college, which like they take those, God bless those people. And I try, and if anyone reaches out to me, I always try and take them, because I can count, like I can't even count how many fucking times people help me out.
Anybody who says they're self-made is full of shit,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
people had to take a chance on you. And I mean, I think that goes into why my adage, for better or for worse, is I'm gonna treat you nicely no matter who you are, because
Uh-huh.
you never know who is going to be your boss at some point. You never know who you might need to rely on, and vice versa. Like, Also, besides that, all of that aside, all of the, career skipping aside, just why not just try to make somebody's day? Like why
Yeah.
be
Yeah,
the
just be
thorn
a
in their
good
ass? Just
person.
just be a nice person to other people in general. And not only is that going to help you be happier and them, you also might just get further in your career with it too.
Right.
It's a win
Um,
across the board.
yeah, no doubt, no doubt. It's, I think it's always important to remember to be nice to people. Not even just for, like you were saying, career wise. Like, you
Yeah.
just got to be a good fucking
Just be,
person.
it's really not hard. I feel like it takes more energy to be a dick.
No doubt. Yeah, yeah. And especially, I mean, that was something that I learned. I feel like in high school I was an asshole. Truly, I was a dick, and I was like super judgmental. And the second I started like actively not trying to be judgmental, not like being nice, like it's such a, for anyone listening, and if you're still an asshole, it's a much easier way to live. Let me fucking tell
You're
you.
happier. When you're
Yeah,
nice
yeah.
to other people, you just suddenly become happier as a person.
Right, yeah. All that negative energy like really affects you. Not to sound like some sort of, now I really sound like a whatever. Anyways,
Now you are a true LA writer now,
yeah,
Gaspar.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. I'm like negative fucking energy. Um,
Takes out your
but
crystal.
yeah, literally. Um, what were we? I can't even
We
remember.
were talking about
Right,
this nice guy at Warner Brothers took your
right,
call
right,
and
right.
helped you out.
Should I not curse? By the way, are you
Oh,
gonna
no,
be
no, no, no.
censoring
I'm
these
not
things?
censoring any cursing.
Okay,
This podcast will be rated whatever it's rated. Hey guys, if
got
you're
it.
going into the film industry, just know that cursing is kind of a staple. You don't have to. Just be aware that people will curse around you a lot.
I think I do it to try and sound cool, is what it is. That's the main reason why I try and curse. And I realized today, dude, I was like, well, I'll get into this in a second.
Yeah.
I guess it has to do with the whole journey. And I had a realization today, and I was like, you fucking idiot. But whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm here where I am now. Right. This guy, I should hit him up. It's been a while. It's always good to keep in touch with everyone too.
It's hard to do that too, though.
It's very difficult, but it's important.
It is.
So anyways, he pretty much he was like, listen, dude, no one's going to hire you unless you went to, he was like, no one's going to hire you from New York. If you want to get a job from LA, I recommend moving out here, trying to get an internship you could probably do that from New York. That you'll probably be able to do. And then once you're here in LA, like just network, let me know when you get out here and I'll help you out, which was huge. He was an incredible help.
Yeah.
So I like applied to a bunch of internships because I just followed his advice. I was pretty much like, all right, I'm not going to get a job from there. And I just graduated college. We'll see. I'll just move out, get an internship in LA and move out there. So then I did. I got it at like a small production company. And I moved out here. I had like no money saved up. And I took out like a credit card. It was actually not, it wasn't even it was like through my, so this is how much also having your parents support helps too. It was through my mother's credit line. So she was like, if you fuck this up, like it's on me, buddy. So don't fuck this up.
My mom did that in high school just to help start to build my credit. But it was definitely basically the same rules. If you buy anything without my knowledge, then you're dead, basically.
This wasn't even like, this was still like linked to me and my account, but I had no credit yet. So she had to like take an extension of her account and make it through me. But anyways, I took out the credit card and I moved out here and I like started working at this internship, but it didn't pay anything. So I also worked at a restaurant. And while that happened, I met up with this guy again. And I was like, all right, I'm here. What the fuck do I do now? And he was like, let me connect you to this other guy who works at Lionsgate. And he pretty much had told me like about the whole assistant route, which is, I don't know how familiar people are with the industry who are listening, but like there's many ways. One of the most touted classical routes is, you become an assistant somewhere, you work your way up, boom, that's it. Okay, whatever. So I was like, all right, that's the path I'm taking. So he had gotten me an interview with someone at Lionsgate. I didn't get that job. And then I interviewed again for another executive assistant position, and I got it, luckily. And then I was there at Lionsgate. I was the CFO's assistant for like 2 years. And while I was there, I was trying to switch into a writer's assistant position or even a script coordinator position. And that was going okay. I was getting like a good amount of interviews. And now I realize what my crucial mistake was. To bring it back to the cursing thing, I was like, I think I was too, frankly, I think I was too much of myself in those interviews. And I was at the mindset of that time is like, you just got to be yourself. Like, you just got to show your personality. And now what I'm realizing today is like, I think these guys just wanted a good fucking assistant. Like, you should have just been a little bit more normal, maybe, but whatever. It doesn't matter. That eventually I was like, this route isn't really for me. I saw a lot of friends who were like, had done the assistant route and had been like assistants for a very long time, like 8-9 years,
Oh
some of
yeah.
them, and were still not able to move up. So I was kind of like, I was like, what other paths are there? And I'm someone who I kind of have as a mentor now. At the time, was like, apart from the assistant thing, was like, you should just be making your own content. Like, you should be posting your own things. You should, because if you just have a fucking script, a lot of times nobody fucking cares, honestly. And it's like, I wanted to be able to prove that I could garner like some sort of audience. I would hope that that would help me to do the essential things like find a manager, get staffed on a show, whatever. So it was that at that point that I made the decision. I was like, fuck the assistant route. Like, these jobs, they take so much time. You don't even have time to write and
No.
to be creative half the time with them. And honestly, a lot of the time, nobody's going to give you fucking shit. Like, yeah, people helped me out a lot at the beginning, but then I realized, like, even when I was getting recommendations from like the head of Lionsgate TV, like the head of the company, like everyone's like, sorry, there's no room here. And I was like, all right, great. Like, guess I'm just going to have to fucking do this myself. So then I did. And then that's where I am now. I followed my friend Ian's advice, which was essentially just, do it yourself. And that's where I am now. I'm still doing it myself. Not that much has come out of it, but I do feel a lot more creatively, I guess, like liberated, and I feel much more in control of my life. And it feels like I'm developing my voice more often, and it feels good to garner an audience. And for the first time ever, people reach out to me, and people reach out to me to set up meetings, like production companies and small managers, and not even like that. It was never happening before.
And that's
And it was,
insane that you were the CFO's assistant at Lionsgate and you couldn't even get the meetings properly.
yeah.
Like,
I
what
mean,
is that?
I was getting interviews for. The interviews that I did get were all through like connections and networking that I'd done while at Lionsgate.
Hmm.
And those, I mean, but those were just through other assistants who were getting me into those rooms.
Yeah.
But I think the thing is like, and it happens, not to shit on Lionsgate if any of them are listening. And my boss was great. He still helps me all the time now. But I don't know, whatever the deal was, it's incredibly difficult to get into one of these rooms. And it's like, even if you have, the top of the company supporting you, ultimately it falls on decisions and on shoulders who make those decisions that always seem to be kind of like out of your control. And it was, instead of like, I figured, like, instead of wanting, like, being like, please, can I be on your thing? Please, can I be on your thing? If we could eventually change it so that people were reaching out to me and being like, hey, can you be on our thing? I'm like, that's obviously the fucking key. So I was
Yes.
just like, all right, let's develop my skills and my voice and grow an audience to the point where people are asking me to do things. And who knows if it'll ever happen, but that is the goal. And yeah, hopefully one day.
So where do you work now?
Now I work at Riot Games. It's a pretty chill job, and that gives me time. If I were to give advice to any, if to my, well, actually, I don't know. I don't know what advice I would give myself, but I for people who've done the assistant thing for a couple of years, I think that's great to build a network. That was definitely the most helpful thing. Like, people take meetings with you all the time, and you're able to sort of like grow all the connections that you have, and that helped immensely. But now I work at just like, it's a job that has nothing to do with entertainment. It's just pretty relaxed, and that gives me plenty of time to make sketches and upload things and write all the stuff. And I think that's what I will continue to do until I can monetize the accounts that I have, or somehow through the attraction or the audience that I've attracted am able to get into a room.
You have a pretty
Or,
big audience now, though, don't you?
yeah, I don't think it's big enough to do anything. Well, like some brand, it's like I'm at like 55,000 followers, which is like cool. It's great. It gives me some sort of legitimacy in some cases, but then at the same time, it's still like still nobody gives a shit, which is fine. I don't
Is that
expect them to
because
give.
you're not paying for a blue check mark?
No, I don't think so. I think it's probably a lot of stuff. I think it's probably my content is like very strange and kind of vulgar. I think like I
You?
think
No.
I think it's I think 55,000 doesn't mean anything really.
Yeah.
Like I don't think that's that like people have millions of followers, and I think that's really when I mean larger deals get made. Um, but yeah, I mean it's definitely been helpful. It's helped me build a community online, and I'm not saying I'm super grateful for it and all the people who like support consistently, and it's been helping me do a bunch of other stuff that I wouldn't have been able to do before. So it's been great. But I think in terms of turning it into something that I can do, that I can sustain myself with, I don't know if the the account in the state that it's currently in can do that. But that's something that I'm working a lot on. And whenever this job ends, which is I think the contract that I have ends in a couple months, I'll probably dive full time into it and see if we can make something happen.
Really? So you wouldn't want to extend where you're currently at, or is that not an
No,
option?
I don't have the option to. So
Oh,
there's yeah, they've extended my contract so many times so that there's actually like a California labor law where you can't extend somebody a certain amount of times without just making them full time, and they don't hire people full time for this position because it's cheaper to just get contract labor.
of
So then,
course.
yeah, but it's fine. I mean, the job is great. The people that I work with are great, and it's been a great experience, and it's helped me while I've had this job. I've been able to uh, really make a lot happen. So it's been great.
Nice. And it's also giving you financial stability in the interim as well, which is
Yeah.
not something that we can say for a lot of the industry at the moment.
No, no, yeah, not at all. The ability to make it in this industry, like you have to have some sort of like support system. Not that everyone. It's not my parents don't give me any money, and they haven't for since I was I don't know how long. Um, but even like to have a family and to be able to fall back on those things, like if everything goes to shit, you can fucking I don't know. I could move back to New York if something happened or those sorts of
Yeah.
things because it's such an unstable industry. Like it really just creates I don't know. Like you have to be in a position where that's okay, and I am like fucking thankfully.
It
Um,
took me years to become okay with that before I moved out here. But in college, I was a nervous wreck. At least once a semester, I had a mental breakdown about how unstable my career was going to be in the future. And I didn't know I was going to be able to deal with that. But I'll tell you what, the minute you move out here, if you have that goal in mind, like you and I both do, where it's like, no, this isn't an option to not happen, it has to happen, you still find ways to make it work somehow.
uh-huh.
So
Yes.
exactly what you're going to be doing the minute you dive full into all of your TikTok and I kind of burped when I said that. All of your TikTok and Instagram reel content, then I feel like you the more time you have to spend on it, the bigger the audience is going to get. It's
Yes.
that catch 22. Well, you
Yeah.
need the
Yeah.
money
Yeah.
to do it, but you also need the time. So which do you,
Right.
can you forgo the
Yeah.
money for a few months to give the time to then start making more money again?
Yeah, I think, and like that there have definitely been periods of time where I was broke, but at the same time, it's not like my responsibilities are zero. You know what I mean? Like I don't have any like health things that like anything chronic health wise that I have to pay for. I don't have any children. I don't have like anyone that I have to help support. I'm like, if you have any of those things, not to discourage somebody if they have any of those things, like if you want to do this, like go ahead, like full support to you.
I've seen some
Fucking,
people make it work.
you can make it
You
work, yeah.
can do
But
it if you really want it. It is rough, and I have some friends who do it, and I admire the shit out of them for it because
yes,
I know myself I could not do it. That there's a reason why I'm not married. I don't have kids. I don't have a pet. Like there are reasons why
uh,
because I know how difficult it is. And
yes.
once again, no, you're absolutely right. You can make it
Yeah, I think
work,
it
but
says
it's
something.
hard.
I'm more trying to speak to the industry at large, that like how, frankly, how much it needs to change,
Oh
really.
yeah,
And like, I mean, it's true with any. I mean, it's not just the film and TV. It's also music. It's also any sort of creative endeavor. There's just not there's unless you have, I mean, it's just society at large.
Yeah,
That if you have any sort of these things, it's difficult to be supported. So anyways, hopefully we
absolutely.
can change that when we make it someday. That's a dream that I have,
Oh
to try
boy.
and make these avenues a little bit easier, but we'll
Make
see.
writers' rooms more than 3 people again.
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah. I mean, that's good that, the strike, I think hopefully will allow for a lot of this. Not that I don't think it'll, we'll see what it fucking does,
yeah. I
but
mean,
yeah.
I sincerely hope it does for both of our sakes as hopefully future WGA writers.
If it's this hard for us, like how hard is it for you, just like from, I don't even know if like you were born with not a lot of, like, you know what I mean? If it's this hard for me, it just shows how of a
There's a lot of luck
how fucked.
involved.
How fucked.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Let's not, yeah, there's definitely a lot of luck involved. Yeah.
And
There's
unfortunately, in both of our cases, not a lot of nepotism working in our favor right now.
no, but even yeah. I mean, even for the kids who have even for the kids who have nepotism, like it's not that easy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would make it easier, no doubt. But even then, when someone's like, they got fucking in because their dad was there, I'm like, whatever, fuck it. I can't control that. Like,
No. And
I'm just
you
gonna do
can't control that. Every industry does that. How
it.
many
Exactly.
doctors' offices are family practices? And
Yeah, exactly.
then, apart from that, if I was in that scenario, I totally would take advantage of that too. Let's
Yeah.
not kid ourselves. We're just mad that it's not us.
I'm not even mad. I'm trying to do back to bring
Okay,
it full
fair point.
circle, the non-judgmental. I'm like, whatever, that's fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not going to spend the energy trying to focus on that because,
No, because then you're not going to get it done yourself.
yeah.
Yeah. Spend time making sure that you're the best version of the person and the writer and filmmaker and comedian that you can be. And
Yeah.
then
Not to make myself sound too holy because I'm not, but yeah, yeah.
did you
Trying.
do any like Second City training or any of
I
those
did
UCB?
UCB. Yeah, I did UCB, and then I did like some sketch stuff at the Pack, which is this theater here. And that was super, super helpful. But then when the pandemic came, that shit sort of shut down. And then I sort of started making the shift to do more digital stuff. And yeah, and that was when I started concentrating on that. And I always am like, I got to get back to doing live stuff. I think the great thing about that is, you have a community of people, which you can find in other ways too, but it's not, nearly the same.
Would you recommend like UCB or Second City to anybody who wants to go down that career path? And if so, like which courses do you think are helpful after
I'm
the
gonna
dogs are
wait for
done?
these to. I think they're done. Yeah, I would. I mean, listen, if you're interested in comedy, I think at the beginning you should try. We'll give him a second.
He's agreeing that
Yeah, yeah.
UCB is a good choice.
I think yeah. If you're interested in comedy, try them all out. I mean, the difficult things with those programs is they were expensive too, which there's ridiculous. Again, it's like an exclusivity thing, and not everyone can do it, which is like frustrating for people who don't have access to those things, and they need to be changed. But actually, especially in LA now, like all that shit has been much more dispersed, and the community is a lot more indie, so it's easy to get into things for free and to do stuff for free. I know the Elysian has like an open jam. It's free. It's like every Wednesday. The Improv Space used to have one here in LA. But yeah, totally. I think like find all the things, try all the things out, see what you're interested in, see what works for you, and then I mean, you can do whatever you want. Some people do a bunch of different stuff at once. I found it works best for me to just focus on one thing, stay focused on like one sort of medium, and trying to grow that. I mean, there's downsides to it, no doubt. Like I definitely feel like my community has suffered and my abilities to do improv and live stuff has suffered, but it's what I picked. But yeah, just pick the fucking thing that works for you. Try them all out at first. I did. I think it's great.
Oh, absolutely. And if you were, would you recommend like the college route for people who are trying to break in? Obviously, I mean, like you got one good professor connection that helped you out, but would you say that was enough for you to recommend college?
I think that's a personal. I think that's a personal decision that everyone has to make. If like, it depends on your background. It depends on, yeah, a lot of stuff. I wouldn't. I think, yeah, who cares? Like, I mean, obviously, if your career is taking off and you're in college and you want to drop out to pursue your career, like, do it. You know what I mean? Like, go ahead. The nice part about having a college degree, I mean, I won't speak to I don't know. Like if it's also another difficult economic situation. You know what I mean? Like if you can afford to go to college and you feel like it's worth the investment, I mean, it's always nice to have something to fall back on. I didn't feel like I was like, man, I wish those 4 years of my life I was doing. I do wish that I was doing more comedy while I was there, but I wasn't like, I wish I didn't study. I wish I didn't study economics. Like I'm happy that I did that. I feel like it gave me like a more rounded view of the world. Um, but yeah, when you're in college, I mean, a lot of programs have really good improv groups and stuff like that. Just get involved in that sort of shit. And if you got to go to college to make money to get a degree because you have to fucking make money and you can't afford not to, go ahead, do it. There's no shame. Just that you should do that.
Yeah. So basically, yeah, it's a personal choice based on a lot of, family circumstances. Don't put yourself in major debt to do it, especially if you're
No, 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 no. I mean, listen, if you feel like you have a big enough support system or are comfortable putting yourself in that sort of risk, or like at the end of the day, especially in places like LA, while the economy isn't in the shitter, it's not right now. Who knows? We could probably go into a recession in a fucking week. But like, there's the good thing about it is like there's no shortage right now, at least. I don't know what it's going to be like when this comes out, but of restaurant jobs and work like that, which those are great jobs to have. I've worked in restaurants. Most people in like the industry, I've worked in restaurants and other similar related service jobs. I was working on a clothing store right before this. Like, there's no shortage of that type of job, and you can get that with or without a college degree. The thing is, like, you're just taking a bigger life risk. I mean, and so am I. Every year that I fucking sink into the writing thing, it's like decreases and decreases the chance of me doing anything really else career-wise. So it's a risk. You got to be comfortable with the risk. I mean, and I think the fact of the matter is you have to be lucky to be able to take that risk without it being that great of a risk.
I fully agree. And I think you touched on something that bothers me a lot too, is people out here so casually just say, oh, just, use one of those programs where they read your, or go to one of those places where they read your scripts and give you feedback, or go to UCB or go to Second City or go do this thing. And the thing that they all fail to realize is how much money each one of those things cost, and the barrier to entry for somebody who is less fortunate, or even somebody who's just mediumly fortunate throughout their life, but they're struggling to get a job because there's a strike going on, or COVID, or any of these other factors, or they had too much debt from college. There's so many reasons why somebody might not be able to just pay to do that. And
no doubt.
The amount of ways for pain to play out here is kind of ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. It is. I completely agree. And I've tried to avoid all of them. And before it was because I couldn't afford it. And now, thankfully, I could if I wanted to, but I'm still like, fuck that. Especially when UCB was sort of the main entryway to doing improv and that sort of thing. The barrier was ridiculous. They were like $400 a class. That's a lot of fucking money.
That is a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Thankfully, now you don't have to do that as much anymore. Like I was saying, there's other opportunities, and I pray to God it stays that way for all the people trying to get in. But yeah, the barrier to entry is so high. Like, I hope we can all work to decrease it. I remember a couple of years ago, the PAs were trying to form a fucking union where I was like, yeah, let's go do it. But I think I got busted. But who knows, maybe this time around. But yeah, especially, and not only is the barrier to entry very high, even when you're even when you're a fucking assistant, like the wages are so low. The hours are so long. I'm like, you have to be. There's a reason that a lot of those kids in those mailrooms like went to Princeton, Yale, and they have like already privileged backgrounds because they're the ones who can afford to take those positions in the first place. You know what I mean?
I had one of my friends who just took another assistant job because there's nothing else right now, and she was telling me how she's making $500 a week. At this assistant job, $2,000 a month. For a full-time 7-day-a-week assistant job. That's just unacceptable for anybody to think that they can hire another person to run their life 7 days a week at all hours.
Yeah. It's the reality of the situation. I pray to God that as hopefully our careers increase, we don't just become what's the word that I'm looking for? Complacent, and we actually do something about it.
I agree entirely. I feel like at a certain point, it's the minute the housing market out here can correct, I don't need to make $1 million anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
You know,
I don't know if it'll ever correct itself.
I feel like it has to. The housing is so expensive that like unless you truly are making like 5 million plus a year, you can't afford a house.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt.
At
I
least
mean,
not like a decent house. Like every other house that I've seen that I could potentially afford at this point, I'd rather just stay in my apartment.
yeah,
Like my apartment's a better deal.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I
even
mean, home ownership is not really something that our generation has come to expect as
no,
like a thing that's possible.
exactly. Let me make this the best damn apartment I can.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Or even buying an apartment for that matter. I mean, like any owning any sort of place
oh yeah,
is pretty difficult. But
agreed.
yeah,
Um, well, thank you so much for hopping on and talking today. I'd love
of
to
course.
next time deep dive a little bit more onto comedy movies, comedy specials that and various other fun comedy and writing related topics that we can get into. And to that extent, where can people find you? I know you have a lot of channels going on
Right,
right now.
right, right. Let's plug them. Let's plug them. You can find me mainly on Instagram and TikTok is where I upload most of the things. If you just search Gaspar Cello on Instagram, it's GasparCello. That's just my full name. On TikTok, you could probably search the same thing and find me, but the tag is Big Stinky Goose. That's what it is. Yeah, I make a lot of strange sketches. They're not for everybody, but I hope, yeah, well, look at them or don't. That's fine too. But yeah, thanks, AK. Yeah, it was nice. It was nice to do this. I've never actually uh, talked this much at length about the industry. I hope I'm sure I came across as an asshole for all those people listening. The truth is, I probably am. But anyways, let's all just try and be good to each other. I don't know why I'm trying to do like philosophical, moral parting words, but I'm gonna do it anyways. Yeah, let's be good to each other. Let's help each other out. I hope I can do those things. And yep. And now I'm gonna get off my soapbox.
Yeah, I want
Um,
to succeed so I can help all my friends succeed, and then use that money to hopefully, help other people succeed. Yeah, there's so many other things outside of film that I want to help just throw
Right.
money
Yeah,
behind.
sometimes I'm like, is this just a vain pursuit and should I not be doing this at all? And I had that thought last night in bed, and maybe it is, but
Maybe it is, but it's what we're good at. It's what we enjoy. And if I
that's
can make
true.
money at doing this, then I can throw money into, carbon capture technologies or anything else that I'm also passionate about on the side and want to help, because I am one of those crazy people who, at the end of the day, has to believe that humans can get better and that it's not a
Yes.
lost cause. Um,
I'm not sure if you know what? Fuck it. Yeah, let's do it. Let's
Look,
get better.
I
Let's
am a realist, but I have to be optimistic for my own
Yeah, you
mental
gotta be. You
sanity.
gotta be.
And I
You
want
gotta
to
be.
be. Like, I genuinely want to get better. And I feel like, we all have a part to play in that. And entertainment is a perfect place to just throw out ideas that can get seen by a lot of people that you don't know whose mind you change.
That's true. That's true.
So, have to maintain that optimism, even though I have that realist underlying. Uh, but either way, thank you so much for joining today. It was a
Thank
pleasure
you
to
for
have
having me,
you.
AK. Thank you for
And
next time. I'm gonna get the whole rig set up. It's gonna be
it's
incredible.
gonna be
But
wonderful. And if any of you guys have any questions for Gaspar for next time, go ahead and leave comments, send messages, or annoy him on his channels, and
yeah,
we'll
go
make
ahead.
sure to touch on all of it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, thanks again, AK. I'll see you
Thank you
around.
so much for having, or
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah,
You're,
yeah, yeah. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
that's when I guest star on one of your TikTok shorts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. You can be in one whenever you want. You can be in one.
Actually, that could be a lot of fun. I'm curious what role you would write for me, actually.
It all depends on what role you want to play. It all depends
Honestly,
on.
I'm so down for that collaboration. But have a great rest of your night.